Hey everybody, I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. First off, let me apologize for not getting a video out here in a couple weeks. I've been just extremely busy and it's been a little bit tough to get to the gardening type of stuff from my full-time job. But what I did want to share with you is we went on a vacation recently over toward the Smoky Mountains, and we stayed in an RV campground, and on the campground there was a dogwood tree. Now this was not in the parks because you're not actually supposed to be able to take anything from those parks. This is just a regular RV campground outside of the parks. But I picked up a bunch of dogwood seeds. Now these seeds are actually what you call drupes. And a drupe is simply where the flesh goes around a single seed in the middle of it. So there's going to be one seed per kind of berry looking thing right there. So I picked up several of those because I thought, why not plant some dogwood seeds and see if we can get some germination off of them. The cool thing about dogwood seeds is that they need cold stratification. And so what we're going to do is we're going to plant them in these pots I've got over here to my right, and we're just going to leave them outdoors over the winter. They will get the natural processes of the cold and the thaw as they go forward through the winter, and in the spring hopefully they will germinate. We do have to protect them from birds or from squirrels and chipmunks because those things have been a pain this year. They have dug into all kinds of my pots and ruined a lot of propagation that I've tried this year. The other thing that I wanted to share with you in this video were these, and I picked up a few of these that had already dropped on the ground outside of a building, not in the Smokies, but these are beautyberry berries. You can see those. See if you can focus on them a little better. But they are a little purple berry, and this is from an American beautyberry. I've got the Asian variety in my garden, but I don't have the American. But they produce from seed very readily, so it's a very cool plant. They've got these massive clusters of berries that appear. Now I'll pop a picture up so you can see what I was looking at. But they are gorgeous in the fall. The birds love them. They're very good for wildlife. They are a native plant here in the United States. So anyway, we're going to do those two things, and it's really simple. With beautyberry, we'll start with them since I've got a few of them. I've got 4 seeds in here right there. I'm going to see if I've got a few more in my little bag here. And there's one. So yeah, I didn't pick out that many of them, but that might be just enough. So I'm going to plant them in. I'm going to push them in the soil just a little bit. This is a mix of compost and bark chips and peat, 1/3 each, roughly. Okay, so that's really all there is to it. We're going to water, and then we'll let them go, and then in the spring hopefully we'll get some good germination. Now I kind of left them in. You can clean off the exterior if you want to, but probably the natural processes of the freezing, thawing, and just typical processes of the winter are going to take care of all that for us. Now with the dogwoods, they do require cold stratification, and so the best thing to do with them is to kind of get all this flesh off before you plant the seeds. So we're going to take that, we can just throw that away. A bird will probably come by and eat it, and we get a little seed right there like that. And so cold stratification is that period of cold exposure that helps to mimic the just the seasons, the changing of the seasons. So we're going to go through and we're going to put some of these dogwood seeds into here. We'll just kind of rip into each one of these, and we'll see what happens in the spring. We'll probably get 6 or 8 in this pot here that we can do. And remember, each one of these drupes only gets 1 seed out of it. So once you found that seed and pop it out, plant it, and go. Other things you can do with them, you can put them in a refrigerator if you want to do it that way and get this cold stratification. But if your climate is such that it does get the normal freezing and thawing for them, and we are a native dogwood state, why not just let Mother Nature do it? So you can kind of just put them in here, leave them outdoors in an exposed area. You will want to make sure that you protect them from birds, chipmunks, and squirrels again. Those things love this stuff. So we're going to get several of these berries planted in this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably stick them in a greenhouse. Make sure we keep it watered. The greenhouse is not heated other than the natural sun, In the wintertime, it does get down into the 30s in the greenhouse, except during the day, but that's going to be just fine for it. I was hoping to share with you doing another type of dogwood as well, which is called a Kousa dogwood, and that is an Asian variety. But unfortunately, I was checking the seeds, actually started filming, and there were no seeds inside the drupes. It was just this right here. Now the Kousa dogwood is actually a edible dogwood, so you can eat these right here. I've never done it, never tried it, but that's what they say. And I'll pull this open just so I can check this last one that I didn't check before. And you'll see inside there's kind of an orange flesh to it, but they did not produce any seeds. So sometimes that can be where they didn't get any good pollination. Maybe there wasn't another Kousa dogwood out there that they could cross-pollinate with. They will cross-pollinate with the American dogwoods and hybridize a little bit, but the trick is they have to bloom at the same time. And Kousa dogwoods typically will bloom a month after a regular Cornus Florida dogwood will. So Cornus Florida, it'll probably bloom in March, and then the Kousa dogwood blooms in April, and so they can't cross-pollinate if they're not blooming at the same time. So anyway, unfortunately I couldn't do that one. Kousa dogwoods are pretty. They have fewer pest and disease problems than the Cornus Florida does. Cornus Florida can have all kinds of things like anthracnose, powdery mildew, several different things, cankers, all kinds of stuff can happen to them. Look for varieties. They will use Kousa dogwoods a lot for rootstock and then graft onto it the Cornus Florida variety, like Appalachian Spring or Constellation. Those are just a couple to look for, which do pretty well here in the United States. And look for those varieties if you want something. But any of the hybrid type dogwoods, the Kousa ones, will kind of be an intermediate bloom cycle, so they'll kind of bloom between the two here in the United States. So I hope that's some information that is useful and interesting and makes sense. So, and that's really all there is to it. We're going to water, and again, just like the beautyberries, we're going to pop them in the greenhouse and just keep them there for a while. Beautyberries don't need the cold stratification, but I never plant them and they pop up everywhere. The birds come and they kind of do that for me. So anyway, that's really all there is to it. I'm going to put them in this plastic tray here, which is really, it's actually a takeout tray from Subway, but just like that. And I've got a second one I'm going to put over top of it to make sure that we keep the moisture and humidity up in there, so I don't have to water quite as often. So that's really about it. In the spring, hopefully we'll have some germination from them. If not, then we do it over next fall. So I'm Dave with Grown Home Garden. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.